On this episode of the Bronze Metalist Podcast, we talk about No Heroes by Converge. Finally. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal, and we like to talk about it. And I swear, this time, we are going to talk about No Heroes by Converge.
Definitely Jane Doe is what we're going to talk about.
We were going to do an episode on this a couple years ago.
But then I listened to the wrong album.
Yeah, actually, it was more than a couple years ago. I think that might have been in 2021.
All right.
So a while back.
Uh-huh.
And to be fair, the whole story with that, the whole story was that I'd said we were going to listen to No Heroes, but then I was listening to some other Converge stuff, and there was a really cool song that I had forgotten about, and I showed it to you, and you took that as, oh, we're listening to this album now.
And so wires got crossed.
Yeah. And it was all right. We were able to just switch because I had also listened to that whole album very recently. But we didn't really get to talk about No Heroes. So now we're going to do that.
And I still have one of the songs from this album just echoing through my head. I can't even suppress it.
I'm trying to...
Knowing me, which of the songs of this album is stuck in my head right now?
I mean, it could be a couple different things. I don't know. The one there's a riff that is stuck in my head
Does it
at
make
the
you
moment.
do this?
I mean, that's all the riffs on the album,
that's
though.
A good point. Yeah,
make you do the stank face.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. I actually don't remember the name of the song that's stuck that has the riff that goes it's hard to even like sing along to a Converge riff because it's got so many little turns in it,
so many nuances.
There's a whole bunch of just kind of weird little just stanky kind of riffs on this. I don't know. I don't know quite how to I feel like their sound has gotten a little bit more like cohesive as time has gone on, and a little bit less, like, for lack of I want to call it janky almost.
Sure. It
implies like that when you say janky about a video game, it implies that it's full of like bugs and glitches and maybe isn't very good.
Right.
But that's not quite what I mean. It's
maybe jangly,
unconventional, like messy in an intentional way.
Right. Sort of controlled chaos sort of situation.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very punk sort of thing, which is absolutely been the core of their sound for the entirety of their existence. But we'll talk more about Converge later on. First, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing fantastic because finally today I'm going outside and I don't feel like I'm just going to quit breathing and fall over dead. Because suddenly it's 100 degrees. Why? I wasn't ready for this.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week.
Yeah.
Or I guess since the weekend. So we had 90s every day over the weekend and on Monday. It got up to 99 on Sunday. And everyone said it was going to reach 100 on Monday. It didn't in Minot. It almost did.
Yeah.
But it was very, very hot. And then today is in the 50s.
Yeah. and it's raining.
It will continue to be in the 50s all through the weekend. I guess I didn't look to Monday to see if it's going to start warming up.
Actually, on Saturday, the sun is supposed to come out for the first time,
but it's still going to be in the
millennium.
50s.
Yeah,
which isn't wild for May in North Dakota.
No,
that's not crazy.
The 100 is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy coming immediately on the heels of 100-degree heat, like a 50-degree temperature difference. It's not unheard of, but it is strange and unpleasant. Can't we just have 60s or 70s, please?
I've been saying a word regarding the rest of this week all day today, and there's actually one person, a friend of mine, who is just actually recently just sent me a message saying, "Why do you hate me?"
Okay.
Because I've been calling what we're going to experience through Saturday as a lot. It's going to be really moist.
Everyone's favorite word.
Everyone's favorite word.
I've never really gotten the dislike for that. Like I of all people have plenty of sounds that I find unpleasant, and will say so.
Mm-hmm.
But
you do. Stop it! That's what.
I'm not just gonna sit there and allow myself to be made miserable.
Rightly so.
But there are plenty of sounds that I find unpleasant, but I don't really understand why people hate moist so much.
I mean, it makes me like cake.
Is it just the connotation of like? I mean, even if your mind doesn't go to an immediately dirty place,
right? Which
most of the connotations in which you would use the word moist, in my opinion, are positive.
Right. We've now said that.
Yeah,
so
I know.
Many times.
Is it just like people don't like the vowels in it?
I don't know.
Is it the sound or the connotation? I feel like I can understand the sound more, but people act more like it's the connotation of the word, which I don't. I feel like damp is a...
Damp?
If we're talking about connotations, damp is worst.
Damp is worse, but it's also funnier if it's used in the dirty way.
That's true.
You've made me so damp.
But like, usually, if you're talking about something being damp, then generally it's a bad thing. Like, you don't want, for example, it to be damp in your attic, because then you're going to get mold. You need to put a dehumidifier up there.
Oh, baby, my attic is so damp.
You're this close to Jennifer Coolidge. Oh, baby.
Oh, baby. I want a hot dog so bad.
But something I didn't know about dehumidifiers, by the way, is contrary to what you might think, given the fact that they're sold in stores. You know how things are sold in stores.
Tell me about this store.
That's not really the reason, I guess, the fact that they're sold in stores. But no, I feel like most people who don't necessarily know a whole lot about like houses and whatnot would think that the purpose of a dehumidifier is to make it less humid in your house to make it more comfortable to be in.
Sure.
That's not the case. And they actually will not do that. Because what they will do is pump a lot of heat into your house while taking the moisture out, which basically ends up being a net zero.
Sure. But it's a dry heat.
Sure, but then your air conditioner has to work harder to keep the inside of your home cool. And guess what your air conditioner's already fucking doing?
Taking the moisture out of
the air. It's dehumidifying your air.
Right.
What a dehumidifier is for unconditioned spaces in your home that you need to keep dry, like your attic or sometimes your basement or crawl spaces
or your storage area.
A storage area, maybe your garage. Like it's to keep moisture out of places you don't want mold, but also are not air conditioning because you don't live there.
Right.
And I didn't know that. I just watched a random video about how dehumidifiers work, and that's one of the things they were talking about. Just like, they're not really, their purpose is not to make your living space more comfortable because they're going to make it hotter. And most of the time, if you need to use a dehumidifier, it's probably hot outside and you're probably running your air conditioner.
See, in all winter, I use the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Rehumidifier.
Around these parts, we want to put humidity in the air. And also, basically what a dehumidifier is it's just a small air conditioner. And the reason why it's pumping heat into the same space is because that's what your air conditioner would do if the back half wasn't open to the outside.
You ever felt the back half of an air conditioner?
Yeah, it's
hot.
It's moving heat from inside outside. That's what it's doing. And a dehumidifier doesn't have any place to move that heat unless it's directly connected to your HVAC system, and nobody's installing that kind of shit unless you are in an industrial space. Then they might have, a dehumidifier hooked up to their actual like air system if you're like a data center or something.
Sure.
So
last night at work, because I work in a bar at night.
Yeah.
One of my players actually said this. So I was talking to my hair barber the other day.
The hair barber?
Your hair barber. And I said, wait, did you just say hair barber? He said, well, I didn't, I just meant barber. Because hair barber implies that you have...
a different kind of barber.
Yeah. Well, he barbers my hair. Well, my ball barber, he's a...
Barbers my balls.
Not to be confused with my back barber.
Which barbers my back.
Yeah.
I mean, a hair barber would still barber those places because there is hair there.
Right, sure. But unless they were a specialist.
They would be a head barber
what
they would be.
Sure.
Rather than a hair barber. But yeah, that is funny when that sort of thing ends up happening.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait.
What?
If that's what this is, doesn't that imply the existence of something else?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, and his fiance was totally mocking him the whole time. I'm like, come on.
All right.
You're right. It's funny.
It is funny. Yeah. I find it really hard sometimes not to like when people accidentally, like mispronounce something in a funny way.
Mm-hmm.
I have a really hard time not pointing that out because it's just funny to me, and I'm not trying to like point and laugh and be like, ha ha, you're stupid. I'm just like, but like it activates the part of my brain that wants to make a bit out of it.
Right.
Where I'm just like, especially if the mispronunciation makes it sound like a thing. Like you can like, what is that? A thing that this is blah 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 blah. And but some people, don't like it when you point out that they mispronounced something because they get sort of, embarrassed about it, and it can be kind of mean, and I get that, but I'm not trying to be mean.
You know what I do, and I'm always doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm talking about the high humidity outside.
Most of the time I honestly can't think of a time where it wasn't obvious you were just doing a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like when I like mispronounce something, it's usually either just a weird like slip or my brain putting two words together, and I will probably stop and go, the fuck is that?
You know what I actually said on the air today? They were talking about one of those little structures that you hang from either a tree or a pole in your yard, and it has seeds in it, and then those seeds will kind of pile out, to the edges. I called it a bead ferter.
Bead ferter.
Yeah.
Good old bead ferter.
Good old bead ferter. Yeah.
But yeah, if I say something dumb in the middle of a sentence, I'm usually the one who stops and makes fun of myself for it. So I think because I'm so willing to make fun of myself for it, I often forget that some people don't necessarily appreciate that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Some people aren't so deprecative.
Deprecative.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a word. So I think you would just say self-depreciating.
Sure. Depreciating?
Depreciating?
Self-deprecating.
Self-deprecating.
Yeah.
Boy.
Personally, I am self-depreciating.
Yeah.
I'm
You're making your own worth go down.
I'm sliding toward the curb.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm getting older, pudgier.
Spots
on me.
Humans depreciate in value over time.
Well, as soon as you take them off the lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, some humans, I guess, do increase in value over time.
Sure.
But eventually, most of them will suddenly stop being worth a lot of money.
Right, when you get your high mileage humans.
Yeah. I guess there are some people, technically, if you think about estates, there are people who continue to, increase in worth after they have died.
Sure.
Which is wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little crazy to me.
Their estate just keeps growing.
A person that's worth more when they're dead than they were when they were alive feels kind of depressing.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I'm pretty worthless either way.
Did you see that Michael Jordan is going to be
NBC and NBA on NBC,
doing a broadcasting job, which has made people. I've seen some people on the internet go like, "Oh no, Mike, what's going on, buddy? That you're suddenly working again?"
He likes to place a bet.
Yeah,
the man does.
What's going on, buddy? You need some money?
Man, just give him benefit of the doubt. He was bored.
Yeah, yeah, he probably was bored.
He's still got to let Nike cash rolling in.
I mean, somebody's got to fill in for Shaq, and Shaq announced he's going to be just
a college professor.
Yeah, going to become a full-time college professor in a couple of years. Yeah. Which, I mean, I've known this for a while. He has a PhD.
He does.
He has a doctorate in education.
Education.
He has a MBA for business, but yeah. So he just imagine going to college. And your business professor is Shaq. That'd be amazing. It's like it's like those people who went to law school in the early late 90s, early 2000s, and their law professor was Barack Obama.
Right.
That's awesome.
Can you imagine? Having your paper you wrote, your dissertation, and it just had a big red F in Barack Obama's handwriting. Yep, that's right. The president signed my paperwork.
The future president of the United States gave me an F in this class.
So when I'm off work at Cinnabon, I'll be back.
I dropped out of law school, started working at Cinnabon. My master's wasn't worth shit.
Yeah, well.
I don't know how law school works. I don't, because I know like most PhDs.
Well, Juris Doctorate is what you get in law school.
Okay. Because I have a friend who went through law school, but I don't remember the whole process, because like most PhDs and MDs and whatnot, you do, you do your grad school.
Sure.
You do grad school stuff, and then you move on to the PhD doctorate stuff. I don't know how that works with law school, actually, though.
I don't know. My mom got her Juris Doctorate, and she got she passed the bar in California. Worked for Farmers Insurance for like a year, then joined the Air Force. Worked as a judge advocate general for 2 years, and then retired forever.
It's just like, I'm done.
She just had a whole bunch of kids and did hobbies and things, and still around 50 years later.
I mean, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
If I could do that,
yeah,
I would have, but I didn't. Because I couldn't.
It's not too late, Cale.
I feel like it is.
Do you? Yeah.
I don't think I have it in me to go to law school.
No?
I mean, like when I was a little kid, what I always wanted to be, I think the probably my biggest aspiration when I was little, I wanted to be a paleontologist, because I loved dinosaurs. I still love dinosaurs. I was just obsessed with dinosaurs. Wanted to be a paleontologist. And then, the more school that I did, the more I realized that I am deeply frustrated with the physical process of having to write research papers.
Oh, sure.
For some reason, I fucking hate citations.
Really?
I don't hate the fact that you have to do citations, because obviously you need to cite your work. That's important. But like writing citations made me angry. I hated it. It was just like, I think it was the formatting of it, and at the time there was not an easy way to do it. Now, like,
sure,
I'm sure there's so many digital, like, just easy, immediate ways to make citations. Like, if you're gonna have ChatGPT do any part of a research paper,
the citation,
have it format your citations like that. I don't see any issue with that. Like, as long as what you are writing is yours, like having it make the just do the busy work of writing the actual format of the citation.
Nothing wrong with that.
Like, I hated it. I think part of it is the English classes that I took in high school, I never quite felt like I understood where the line was between what I was allowed to write and like infer and come up with my own conclusions, and what had to be direct like quotations of research and whatnot. Like my English teacher never made that clear, and like I feel like for high school English classes, really like they feel like they are an experience in learning to write research papers.
Right.
I don't know. I always found writing research papers to be really frustrating, which is weird for me because theoretically I love doing research. I love looking shit up and, trying to find the truth about things and reading about stuff that happened and learning about things. I fucking love doing research. But then having to write a little blurb at the bottom of the page or at the end of the thing and getting all that right and feeling like I'm getting screwed over on a technicality for a grade, even though it's like, but what I said was fine. It's just that I didn't put the right number in the thing. It's I don't know. But that matters in academia.
It does.
But yeah, I feel like if I was like these days, if I was going to do anything remotely related to that, it would be like a YouTube channel where I'm like, I'm not an actual academic, so I don't really need to do this. I'll put my sources down there, but I'm not going to put it in fucking MLA.
Yeah.
MLA formatting can suck a big fat one. I hate it. I never learned. What's the other one? ADA?
ADA?
ADA? There's something called Chicago style too, which always sounded like a pizza.
Yeah, I was gonna say I could use me Chicago style pizza right now.
I think there's some kind of research paper format that's Chicago style or something like that.
Deep dish.
Deep dish. Yeah. I'm writing a deep dish research paper. Another pet peeve.
Yeah.
About deep dish pizza. I hate that the argument online about New York style versus deep dish. No one ever, not a single New Yorker ever stops to consider or even play with the idea of, is it good? Is deep dish pizza good? Does it taste good? The argument is only ever about, it's not fucking pizza. It's like, okay, but also, who gives a shit? Is it good? The answer is yes.
Yeah, it is good.
But no, that's never the argument. The argument is always about whether or not it's pizza. And I don't give two fucks about whether or not it's pizza.
And it's kind of a straw man argument anyway, because they're saying, Chicago pizza is not pizza. No. Deep dish pizza isn't Chicago pizza. Chicago pizza is really like regular goddamn pizza.
Yeah, it's just pizza.
Yeah, if you're eating deep dish in Chicago, what they call you is a tourist. Yeah,
fair. I feel like there probably are some properly local places still that don't get swamped with tourists, but it's also I think it's one of those things where if you are from Chicago, you don't get deep dish all the time.
No,
it's one of those things you get maybe once a year.
Sure,
like that's an occasion. Like, we're gonna go get deep dish or something like that.
We're
gonna go get deep dish with the Pope.
Yeah, the Pope.
With da Pope. I love.
Yeah,
that's a thing that can happen now. It's funny. All right, shall we talk about Converge?
Sure.
So, if you don't know, Converge is an American metalcore, or back in the day, they would have called it a metallic hardcore band.
Right.
From Salem, Massachusetts. That was founded way back in 1990, when their members were, I guess, would have been junior high, upper middle school. I didn't go to middle school. All of my schooling was done in the same building, so the distinctions don't mean a lot to me. All I know is Jacob Bannon is 48 now, in 2025, which means he would have been 13 in 1990.
Okay.
I can't imagine starting a band when you're 13.
I was in a band when I was 13.
But remaining in that band for 35 years.
I was in that band for 3 months. Yeah.
Like, yeah, starting something when you're 13 and having that thing continue to exist.
Right.
Literally your entire adult life. That's absolutely crazy. And at least since 2001, it's been the same guys. I mean, it's always been Kurt and Jacob, Jacob Bannon and Kurt Ballou, both founding members of the band. But they became a 4-piece in 1999, I think, or 2000. With Nate Newton and Ben Kohler. And that's they got together for Jane Doe, and have remained in that same lineup since then, last 25 years.
Right. That's just it still boggles me into time. So year 2000, a quarter of a century ago.
Yeah.
That's nuts to me.
I mean, I'm not even like I'm 29, but for some reason the idea that 1990 is 35 years ago still feels wrong to me.
I bought a car that year.
Yeah. But yeah, they've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And No Heroes was their 6th album, came out in 2005. It's one that we have not directly been able to talk about before because of what we talked about at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
So I thought about that immediately after we were done. I think
last Wednesday.
Yeah, last Wednesday. I was like, when we got done, I was thinking about albums, and I was like, okay, Converge hasn't snuck anything out under my nose, have they? And they haven't.
Right.
But then that got me thinking, like, is there any Converge albums we have not talked about other than like their 90s stuff that's really hard to come by? It's like, is there anything we haven't talked about? And then I typed into our our episode list, and was like, oh yeah, we didn't actually talk about No Heroes. So yeah, now we will. This is, like I said, their 6th album, 2005, and it feels like it's in a pretty solid sort of transition point in their sort of discography throughout the 2000s, where they've sort of transitioned from, like we said earlier, sort of a kind of jangly sort of controlled chaos sound to something that is a lot tighter and more focused, still very energetic and raw and highly aggressive most of the time, but a little bit cleaner and more focused as time has gone on. With the exception of like Blood Moon, which is the whole point of that album, and the project as it started out with Blood Moon was performing
with Jasmine Wolfe.
Yeah. Chelsea Wolfe. Jasmine Wolfe is local business person and musician.
Yes.
The whole point of that was, taking an opportunity to perform some of their slower songs and make newer sort of more kind of, I guess, doomy versions of some of their other songs as well, and writing new material along with Stephen Brodsky, and there's one more collaborator in there whose name I forget.
From Cave In.
Chris something. Not from Cave In.
Is Stephen Brodsky from Cave In?
Brodsky's from Cave In. The other guy I can't think of is a guy who works with Chelsea Wolfe a lot.
Gotcha.
And Steve Von Till actually he wasn't on the album, but when they started doing like the Blood Moon performances at various festivals, Steve Von Till was involved with that.
Nice.
And he's collaborated with them many times in the past as well. I guess I don't know what Neurosis is. I don't know if Neurosis is just gone now that the other vocalist from Neurosis admitted to some bad shit and had been out of the band a while before it was announced. Like they'd kicked him out. I don't know if Neurosis is just defunct now, or
maybe you'll just start a new project, or just focus on teaching.
Yeah, well, I did see Steve Von Till had there was a new release that popped up on my feed at some point not too long ago, but I think it's his typical solo stuff, which is very, very bleak.
Really? You're kidding.
Well, it's funny because like you see like an interview with him, or like some where he's just like talking about his gear or something like that, and he just seems like affable kind of biker sort of dude. A little surfer. He's got a little bit of surfer in his voice.
In there, yeah.
But then he teaches elementary kids in
Idaho.
Yeah, in northern Idaho. Up in the mountains.
You know what I feel the deal is? This is a basic part of human psychology.
Yeah.
Is that if you have a whole lot of darkness but are a really good guy, it's really easy to just peel the darkness away, stick it in the music, and then just go about your day. Like I would have to imagine. I've never heard interviews with them, but the guys in Bell Witch.
Oh yeah, I've seen some interviews with them. They at least the bassist is a little seems a little cerebral. Not like super chill and jokey and whatnot, but not that he seems like he's really intense, but he's seems like a pretty thoughtful sort of guy. I remember the drummer seeming a little bit more animated, but that also might depend entirely on the day and whatnot. Nobody's ever exactly the person they are in an interview,
right?
But yeah, they're definitely not. If you just listen to Bell Witch and try to form a human out of the sound of that music, they're definitely not that.
No, yeah. Whatever it is has a black cloak on. It's a hooded cowl. Yeah. Carrying a reaper.
Yeah, yeah.
A scythe.
But and it back to Converge. Like I said, this album sort of sits at kind of a transitionary point, I feel like, where I think they really started going in the direction of that sort of cleaner, more focused sound on Axe to Fall, which came out in 2009, and then it had really solidified for All We Love, We Leave Behind. It's wild to me. It was 5 years between All We Love, We Leave Behind and The Dusk in Us.
Yeah.
Like, there's just this long period. It felt really long. But yeah, this is definitely more emblematic of like their earlier sound.
Sure.
Not nearly as messy and like chaotic as like Jane Doe is. But still very, very raw in its sound. This album slap?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh yeah.
Oh, don't you know?
Oh yeah, bud, for sure.
Yeah, betcha.
But yeah, this album definitely does slap. It's got some slower moments on it.
It does, but they're fitting where they are.
Yeah. And I think that's something that basically I feel like starting with Jane Doe, they tend to include at least one long kind of slower song on every album. On this song, it's Grim Heart Black Rose.
Right, yeah, and it wasn't until we hit that song that it reminded me, oh yeah, he can fucking sing.
That's not Jacob Bannon, actually.
Oh, that's not Jacob Bannon?
No.
Oh, okay, who is that?
I saw that earlier this week, and I have forgotten about it. It's a guy from a different band. I thought for a moment like maybe it would be Stephen Brodsky, but it is not. No Heroes, Converge. It was a name I didn't recognize, which is partially why I didn't remember it.
Eddie Vedder.
Eddie.
No, was
not. Not critical reception. Track listing, please. No, personnel. Here we go. A guy named. Where's it at? Jonah Jenkins.
Jonah Jenkins,
who is in some bands called Only Living Witness and Raw Radar.
I don't know those.
He has his own Wikipedia page.
Really?
Apparently. From Litchfield, New Hampshire.
All right.
But yeah, there was a number of other guest musicians on this as well, including a couple of members of Cave In who performed. John Robert Connors from Cave In did extra percussion on the song Trophy Scars.
Gotcha.
And
Great song.
I believe, late Adam McGrath from Cave In. I think he's one of the members of Cave In passed away. And I think that was Adam McGrath. But
he doesn't have his own Wikipedia page.
No. He did the lead guitar on To the Lions. But because most of the time there's just one guitar, it's just Kurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a couple guests on here. But yeah, Grimheart Black Rose. I mean, it's that guy's voice doesn't not sound like Jacob Bannon's voice, especially like later in his career. Like Jacob Bannon's singing voice is very, very hoarse. I think just from 35 years of doing what he does, like there's not really a lot of technique to Jacob Bannon's screaming. Mm-hmm. It's just the most deranged howl.
Right.
Like it sounds like he's swallowing the microphone.
And the thing is I would love to know more about their lyrics. I mean, it seems like they're good lyricists, but I can't.
You can't ever understand a fucking word he's saying. No. I think he has gotten more decipherable on the more recent albums. But definitely on most of their earlier stuff, it's you can't understand it at all. And I think that's a little bit of the idea, a little bit of the point is just like yeah, you can have the really cool lyrics and whatnot, but ultimately it's another texture, it's another part of the sound, it's another part of the atmosphere. Accepting it for what it is. And every once in a while you can sort of make out what he is saying, but yeah, most of the time it's you can't tell whatsoever.
Right.
So Grimheart Black Rose is one of the slower ones.
Right.
It's basically like 7 minutes of build up.
Yeah, that's a lot of build up there too. It builds high.
It does, and it delivers on it, in my opinion. That like the last 30 seconds of the song, it does deliver. Like it gives you what you want that throughout that whole time of just like, come on, oh, what's about to happen? It's some pretty cool stuff.
That's one of my favorite songs on the album.
Yeah, I've always really liked that one as well. So score-wise, out of a handful of reviews on their Wikipedia page, came out to 84%. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
My favorite song on the album is the title track.
Oh, sure.
It's just such a banger. It's so mean. I feel like that that adjective, just mean, I feel like is probably the best way to describe the overall sound of the album. It's a very mean sounding album. It's very aggressive and explosive, in a way that like Jane Doe feels. Maybe it's a little bit of understanding the context of the album and the lyrics all being about a disintegrating relationship. It feels. Jane Doe feels very anguished, whereas this just feels fucking angry. It just feels angry, and I feel like the title track appropriately sort of fits that. It just feels, it's just raw and mean and aggressive, and I really, really dig it. What's your favorite track?
My favorite track, in retrospect, feels like it has a lot of Brodsky influence.
Okay.
And that would be Plagues.
Plagues. I think there's a reason for that, actually, because they're in between the album preceding this one, which was You Fail Me. I believe in between You Fail Me and this one, Converge and Cave In had been trying to make like a compilation album.
Right.
And they wanted to do like basically a full album of just the two bands like as one.
Because they did it every Time I Die. Also did that with Cave In.
Yeah. Well, that was a single song.
Oh, that was just
and that
a
wasn't
song?
it. That was just.
I thought they were trading songs.
I don't know if Cave In did a Every Time I Die song. I think they did, but that was just a.
Gotcha.
On a YouTube channel. That was, I don't remember what channel that was. That was just one of Every Time I Die covering a Cave In song, and then maybe the other way around. But no, that wasn't a full project.
I thought they were doing a project and we just hadn't talked about it.
No, that wasn't a whole project. That was just a one-off thing. No, this was going to be a whole project, kind of like what Blood Moon became.
Sure.
But it didn't end up working out. But a bunch of songs that they had been working on for that project did end up on Converge albums. I think there's like 3 or 4 of them on Axe to Fall, which is part of why that record also has like featured artists on every track.
Sure.
And then I think Plagues was the song on this album that originally came from that project. So that might be why you feel that Stephen Brodsky influence in there, because he may have partially written it.
Right.
But yeah, and I forget all the time that for a little bit Stephen Brodsky was just in Converge. Sometime in the 90s, I think, because they've all been friends for a very long time. I do feel like also, you said this a little bit ago, like this would be a very romantic thing to say to a woman. We should converge and cave in. Romantic?
In sort of a dark kind of way.
Sure, yeah. It depends on the woman, maybe. But yeah. Well, and there's continued to be a lot of cross-pollination between the two projects, considering that Nate Newton is currently in Cave In.
Right. Which, by that's a fun name to say, too.
Nate Newton.
Nate Newton.
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember his nickname, if it's like Old Man Nate, I think is his nickname.
All right. Which
is funny in the context of Cave In, because I don't think he's any older than the rest of them. They're all in their 40s at this point. I think I was looking it up the other day because I wanted to see if there's been anything new from Cave In since their last album, which was awesome. But I haven't seen anything new on the horizon. I did see that Converge is working on some new material.
Nice.
Kurt Ballou had said earlier this year that they were officially working on some new material.
They've got down the bare necessities for it. I mean, they've...
Every time. Every episode we do about Converge, you have to make a fucking Jungle Book. Jungle Book?
Jungle Book.
A Jungle Book.
You got to make a Jungle Book.
A Jungle Book. Oh, the Borky. Oh my God. Right. But yeah, they are working on something new, which pleases me. Cool. I could always use some more Converge in my life. I did learn about a new Jacob Bannon side project from a few years ago that has a couple of albums out. Actually, it's a death metal band called Umbra Vitae,
really?
Which is Jacob Bannon on vocals, and then I think I'm trying to remember who was who. A couple of members from the Red Chord and Job for a Cowboy.
Wow.
Yeah, and I know at least I think both of the people that are in that band are people that he had worked with before on Wear Your Wounds, which was one of his previous projects. So. Yeah, they've got 2 albums out at the moment. I listened to just a little bit of one track, and thought it was kind of neat.
Nice.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that. I just hadn't Googled like Jacob Bannon in a long time to have seen that pop up. But pretty neat. Seems like some neat kind of stuff. I always felt like it was a shame that the Red Chord kind of dissolved in way back when. It was sort of a kind of in the same vein as like Job for a Cowboy, sort of a progressive kind of newer death metal band or sort of deathcore type project.
Well, maybe they're just going 11 years between. Because Job for a Cowboy.
The Red Chord did get back together for a couple of live performances a few years ago, I think, but I don't think they were planning on actually like fully getting the band back together the way that Job for a Cowboy did. It would be amazing if they did the same thing that Job for a Cowboy did, which is not do anything for well over a decade and then come back and make the best fucking thing of the year. God, that album's so fucking good.
Yep.
That album's so fucking good. You know what other album is pretty good? No Heroes by Converge. What medal do you bestow upon it like Mascanada to Chewbacca? I'm
kind of straddling. I'm going to say high silver for me.
I kind of agree.
Yeah.
I think it's, if I'm going to be listening to a Converge album, it's usually not No Heroes. Like I might be of a mood to listen to like Grimheart Black Rose or something like that. But if I'm going to listen to like a Converge album, it's usually going to be like it's just going to be Jane Doe.
Right.
Like it's you know, it's just the it's so good. It remains like the best thing they've ever made. It's impossible to recreate that.
And we were thinking about going to hear them play the entire thing.
Yeah. And then March 2020 happened.
What I don't remember what went on.
Honestly, it's kind of weird. The next 3 years after that are all
pretty drunk.
A weird.
Yeah.
Yes, and.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's No Heroes by Converge. What do you want to talk about next week?
Next week, I brought this band before, and you were like sort of lukewarm on it, even though they are one of the big four. So I'd like to go back to 1988. This one is like night and day from what we listened to this week.
Okay.
I'd like to listen to State of Euphoria by Anthrax.
Okay. All right. I think it's been a long time since we've talked about Anthrax.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll hell yeah.
All right.
Listen to some Anthrax.
It's kind of one of their underdog albums. A lot of people bag on it, but
one of the underdog albums from the underdogs of the Big Four.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll go ahead. Hell yeah, some Anthrax.
All right.
Until then, why don't you go ahead and subscribe to our feed on whatever podcast service you use to listen to us. Thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Medalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations!